The town of Bitter Creek had seen its share of dust storms and sinners, but that afternoon the wind carried something worse: silence. Every man in town had gathered outside the sheriff's post, where an old wooden platform stood. A woman, thin and pale under her tattered black shawl, waited on that platform with her wrists bound. Elias Garrison, a rancher who had ridden into town to buy a new saddle, stopped cold when he saw her. The sheriff's voice rang out like a whippy. "This here woman owes $5 in taxes she can't pay. Law says we auction her labor till the debt's cleared." A few men chuckled. "Black widow," someone muttered. "Her husband's die, her luck follows." Elias frowned. She didn't look cursed, just broken. Her dark hair fell across her face, her hands trembled, but her eyes burned with quiet defiance. "Start and bid." $1, the sheriff barked. No one spoke. Even drunks stayed silent. The woman lowered her gaze, humiliated. Elias swallowed hard. He hadn't planned to interfere, but something in his chest twisted. He pulled out a silver coin and spoke. $5. Her debt's cleared. The sheriff blinked. "You sure about that?" "Rancher, I'm sure," Elias said. "And she walks free. No man owns her." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Elias handed over the coins, then climbed onto the platform and cut the rope from her wrists. She looked up at him, eyes wide. "Why?" she whispered. "You don't even know me." Elias met her gaze. "Don't have to." He led her away from the platform, ignoring the stairs. When they reached his horse, he offered his canteen. She took it, still trembling. "They call me Clara," she said. "Clara Dean. Folks say I bring death to every man I meet." Elias tilted his hat. "Then I reckon I'll keep living just to make them wrong." If that line hit you in the heart, hit like and subscribe. Because what happens next turns this act of mercy into a miracle. The road to Elias's ranch stretched 30 miles through dry plains and rolling hills. Clara said little, but every mile brought color back to her cheeks. Her hands, rough from work, gripped the saddle horn tightly as the wind tangled her hair. "You can rest at my ranch," Elias said finally, "just until you find your footing." "I don't need charity," she murmured. "Wasn't offering any," he said gently. "Just a roof till the storm passes." When they reached the ranch, dusk had turned the sky to crimson. Elias led her inside, a simple log cabin warm and tidy. He poured her coffee, silent but kind. Clara sat by the fire, her shawl draped over her knees. "Men don't usually help me," she said at last. "They think I bring bad luck. My husband died in the mines, the next one, cholera. After that, I stopped hoping anyone would come near me." Elias stared into the fire. "Sometimes folks see curses where there's just sorrow." She looked at him sharply. "And what do you see?" "I see a woman who's still standing." For the first time, Clara smiled, faint, uncertain, but real. That night rain began to fall, soft and steady. She stood by the window watching it slide down the glass. For the first time in years, she felt safe. Weeks passed. Clara proved her worth tenfold. She cooked, repaired fences, and tended the livestock with quiet efficiency. Elias watched in silence as something remarkable happened. His land, long dry and stubborn, began to thrive again. The horses grew stronger. The cattle found green grass in pastures that had been brown for years. Even the apple tree near the cabin bloomed early, its white flowers glinting in the sunlight. Neighbors noticed. "You sure she ain't a witch?" one man joked. "That woman brought your land back from the grave." Elias just smiled. "Maybe some folks bring curses. She brought life." One evening, Clara found him repairing a coral post. "You shouldn't defend me," she said softly. "People will turn on you." Elias wiped sweat from his brow. "Let them talk. I've lived half my life alone with my ghosts." "You think I care what they say?" The Clara stepped closer, her voice trembling. "You saved me, but I don't know how to thank you." Elias looked at her, eyes steady. "Just keep living. That's thanks enough." For a long moment, they stood beneath the wide Texas sky, the sun sinking behind the hills. The air smelled of rain and wildflowers. Something unspoken passed between them, not romance, not yet, but something deeper, trust. By summer, the ranch was the talk of Bitter Creek. The harvest was rich, the cattle fat, and Elias healthier than he'd been in years. Clara worked beside him, laughter returning to her voice. One morning, a storm rolled in fast. Lightning cracked across the sky, and Elias's prized stallion bolted from the pen. He chased after it, tripping in the mud, his leg pinned under a fallen beam. "Elias!" Clara cried, running through the rain. With strength born of terror, she lifted the beam enough for him to crawl free. He collapsed against her, soaked and shaking. When the storm passed, Elias looked up at her, smiling weakly. "You saved me." Clara shook her head. "You saved me first." He grinned. "Wes, we're even now." That evening, as they sat by the fire, Clara turned to him. "All my life, people called me cursed. But since coming here, everything has changed." Elias nodded slowly. "Maybe you weren't a curse, Clara. Maybe you were the miracle I'd been praying for." Tears filled her eyes as he took her hand. The world outside was still rough and cruel, but inside that cabin, they had found something neither had thought possible: hope. If this story of redemption, courage, and grace touched your heart, hit like and subscribe. More cinematic Wild West tales of humanity and miracles are coming soon.